Thank you for tuning in to the Afternoon Pint. This episode is sponsored by Camilla Najat of Exit Realty, Strategy Up Business Consultants, and ISS Atlantic Security Guard Services. Enjoy the show. This is Mike here, and
Matt Conrad's here.
Of course. And Matt, what are we calling this one?
This is Great Roads Brewery presents a flight of beers with a flight of mayoral candidates.
Absolutely. So Matt helped source the mayors, and I think I largely helped sort the bucket of democracy.
Yes, you did. That was a great idea.
Yeah.
I love it.
So Matt went and found 4 of the mayoral candidates. I think 3 of the top mayoral candidates and a 4th.
Who's has a cool story.
Very cool story. And in addition to that, we went and asked questions to our listeners, to our guests, friends of the show, and we got a big old bucket of questions that we just kind of pulled at random to ask each candidate.
Yeah, so thanks to everyone who sent in something like that you may kind of have a passion or a specific interest or expertise in.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, and I think our candidates did a pretty good job answering them to the best they could. I was impressed by each candidate.
After sitting down with them, honestly, I can say I liked them all as people.
Absolutely.
Right?
Same here.
Yeah. So I think that's good. It's important to note this is not a debate.
Yeah.
This is just a way for us to have some fun with these candidates so that they can answer some serious questions, some fun questions. You get an idea to kind of see who they are as people, get as well as seeing their plans for the city. But you get to see their sense of humor and their personality a little bit more.
And for you, the listener, this is a really cool way to learn your candidates if you're getting out there to vote, which you should be doing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Really need
100%.
to get out. Yeah.
So please get out and vote. Matt and I, we're an independent podcast. We pull these because we're just passionate about what we do. So please, if you can, subscribe to the show, share the show.
Yes.
Friends, followers, the more we gather, the stronger we can get these candidates out there for more people to hear. Hopefully, the more people will show up to the polls and vote this election.
That's right.
All right. Well, that's good.
That's good.
All right. Enjoy the show. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, friends.
Welcome to the Afternoon Pint, Andy.
Nice to be here with you.
Andy, so we have Andy Fillmore here. He's our first on deck for our flight of mayor and flight of beers. We are drinking Sackville's Smashing Good Blonde here at Great Roads. They are hosting us. So
Let's see here. Oh, smashing good.
There you go.
Fantastic. All right. We're digging that already.
Awesome.
It is a really easy drinking beer, really smooth. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
And we really wanted to have you on to talk about yourself a little bit, about what you have planned. Obviously, we know you're running for mayor. Why don't you give the folks a little bit of background on yourself? What kind of led up to politics?
Yeah, sure. And you give me a hurry up the clock. I don't want to talk all day on this, but I grew up in Halifax. I raised my daughter here. She's just left for university in Montreal. So a lot of life has happened this summer. I finished being the MP for Halifax after 9 years. That's how my week started, and then the week ended with my daughter leaving and me becoming an empty nester, and then getting deep into this campaign. So lots of stuff going on, but. My career for almost 25 years before I even had a thought about politics was city and community planning. And I did that, I studied here at Dalhousie for that, and had an opportunity to work down in Boston on the Big Dig for a number of years, and kind of began my professional career there. But like most of us, when we go away from here, the homing beacon goes off, and I heard that call to come back and work for the city, where I was a planner for about 8 years and led the downtown plan. The HRM by Design downtown plan that kind of blew the lid off of development downtown and got that renaissance going. And then in the middle of all that, in 2015, I got an invitation to consider becoming a candidate. And I was looking around the country at that time as a planner and seeing that basic community infrastructure like housing and transit was being underinvested in by the federal government. And I thought, well, maybe this is an opportunity to get in there and help to change that. And ultimately, that's what happened. I got elected, and the government ended up rolling out one of the biggest reinvestments in Canadian communities in the history of the country.
Yeah.
So we've been able to revolutionize transit and community services in a whole bunch of ways, and really proud of that record.
Cool.
So so obviously that's what you have been doing the last few years. So you originally got elected, so you've been an MP up until you decided to resign and run for mayor.
Exactly.
You've been there since 2015.
That's right. So 9 years. In fact, the municipal election on October 19th, it will be the 9th anniversary to the day of my election as
yeah.
MP in 2015. Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
Is.
Okay, so first 100 days, what do you want to do as mayor of Halifax?
Okay, listen, first day, I am calling Premier Tim Houston and letting him know that he's got a partner in me and in the municipal council and in the municipal organization to solve the housing crisis, to phase out the encampments and to get those people that are deserve better, that are living in the tents and living rough, into the care and more dignified solutions that they need, and then to build 10,000 homes a year as fast as we possibly can for at least 10 years to catch up on the backlog. I believe what I'm hearing and seeing is that the province is ready for a partner like that in the municipality that they may not necessarily have had recently.
Okay.
For sure.
What do those houses, just quickly, what do those houses look like? Big houses or like tiny houses?
Across the spectrum. Like we need, you think of housing as a continuum. Yeah. You need to be building deeply affordable, like 30% of household income homes. And we know we have a terrible deficit of that in HRM right now. People haven't been building those in decades. So we need to catch up on that. But we also need to catch up on market apartments and multi-res buildings. We need to catch up on townhomes and ultimately single-family homes as well, because there's churn, right? Someone might want to move out of a $200,000 home into a $400,000 home, and that opens up that $200,000 home for somebody else to come in behind him, right?
Makes sense.
Likewise with apartments and the way the rents work. So we want to keep that conveyor belt moving all the time.
Okay, so now's the time where we dive into our bucket of democracy.
All right.
These are questions again from friends of the show, listeners, and previous guests, right? So you can answer them. You can decline to answer them if you don't feel like you want to answer them. We will give you a point. I don't know how we're going to score these points, but we're just going to have some fun.
Think
with
whose line is it anyway?
All right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The points don't really matter.
Bucket of democracy. Let's mix it up here.
Okay. Question 1. There are polarizing views on the need for growth, or more specifically, the need for immigration coming to Halifax. What do you think is best for the city?
So it was really clear after the what was called the Now or Never report about a decade or so ago.
Thank you for listening to the Afternoon
Nova
Pint.
Scotia economy.
We are an
was,
independent
in the words
podcast,
of
and we need
authors,
your support. Please take a moment to hit that like, follow, and share button. Email us if you have an idea or suggestion for the show. Please send your feedback. We'd love to hear from you.
To build the tax base, to build the homes, to do the healthcare jobs, because we just didn't have the population here present to be able to do that. Why? Because we had been very much an aging population here in Nova Scotia, and we had far more people of retirement age than historically we've ever had, and far fewer people of working age to sort of support the folks in their retirement through the tax base. So that immigration did happen, and it launched. A number of things happened all at once to launch the economy of Nova Scotia. The growth of HRM itself was one of those things. We just mentioned the downtown plan, but immigration helped that as well.
100%.
I think balancing that now is we're clearly struggling under the strain of rapid growth, and there is a sense in the community that, hey, let's take a breath, let's catch up on the healthcare situation and build that out so we're supporting people the way they need to be. Let's build the homes, and then we can reassess and see if we need to carry on with the immigration levels that we've been seeing.
Cool. So you do feel kind of take that slow, catch up a little bit, and then keep going.
Yeah, because it doesn't do anybody. I do.
Cool.
Let's take a breath, catch up, and then keep going. So it doesn't do anybody any good to keep the faucet on while we can't provide the supports for people, including homes.
Awesome. I'll give you a point for that answer.
All right.
You good with the point?
I'm good with the point.
All right. Cool.
All right. My turn now. Okay. All right. So we're reading from who it's from, right? So we have a drag queen who's a former guest called Devastation.
Aha! Very good.
Yeah. So you've met them.
Yeah,
actually.
absolutely. Yep.
So they feel that there is a concerning rise in hatred towards the 2S LGBTQA plus community. Many of those targeted are not only demeaned, but are concerned for their personal safety. What do you plan to do as mayor to stand up for these citizens and hold those who cross the line into hatred accountable?
Look, whether it's here in Halifax or anywhere in the country, we are the country of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. We are the country that legalized same-sex marriage well ahead of any other westernized country. This is a diverse country. That's our beauty. And all of those things that I just said are also true of HRM. Mm-hmm. So we have an incredible queer community here in HRM. They are organized. They are part of the fabric, with Pride every year. They really are a wonderful asset to the community. putting on all kinds of cultural events, and just like part of the beautiful mosaic of who we are. And one of the beautiful things of all this is that we all get to love who we want to love. So I have also noticed that there is a rising intolerance that is really, really profoundly worrying to me. And I struggle to understand the reasons for it. Certainly social media, certainly the kind of like extreme right rising around the world is part of it. People are feeling a little more like they have permission to air their kind of like dark views on this topic, which is really disappointing. So any leader, whether it's a mayor or a councillor or a premier or a prime minister, is going to have to be really diligent about making sure that the charter always comes first, and that everybody has the protections that they're accorded, that are accorded the protections that they're due, and then we continue to make sure that the queer communities are a part of the beautiful vision of Canada.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Point?
Yeah, I'd say that's a point. Yeah,
That's a point.
Pretty good. Yeah, why not?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
My mom used to say I had a point. She said, if you comb your hair just right, I could see it. Telling me I had a pointed head. That's when I had hair, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 5. This one doesn't have a name on it, but I might have forgot to put it on there. I apologize. Areas like Quinpool are severely bottlenecked. And
this was a Facebook question.
Yeah, and in this very area, side streets are closed on key hours. Why are we doing this, and would it help to take advantage of these streets for everyone?
My goodness, we've all had that moment where we're in rush hour traffic and we come across a construction zone, and you say to yourself, why is this happening at 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon? Why is this lane shut down? Why is this street closed? Why isn't it happening in the middle of the night or on a Saturday or Sunday morning? So we can do way better on those temporary street closures for construction. I think your question might have been more about
the permanent closures.
Permanent closures, yeah.
Or like you go up Quinpool and you can't turn right on like 3 or 4 streets between 7 and 9, which is rush hour.
Yeah. So so here's the planner in me, right? The beauty of a grid is that it always provides you an alternative path.
Right.
If there's an obstruction, whether it's congestion or whether it's construction or an accident or an ambulance or something, you always have like it's like water flowing through a maze. Like you can always find another way to go. But when we start to close the side streets and funnel traffic back to the main roads, we're creating what's almost more like a suburban kind of style of hierarchical streets where ultimately everybody winds up on the main road, and then that's an absolute bottleneck.
Yeah.
Commerce comes to a halt. People's days stop. It's like reaching into people's pocket and taking out money and time, and it's not fair. So the larger point I want to respond to is like congestion is off the hook right now in HRM, and we can do way better.
Yeah. So do you think opening up these streets, would help with that around that area?
Look, every situation is different, and sometimes streets are closed as a pilot. Sometimes they're closed permanently, but it's learned later that maybe that wasn't the right one, so we open them again and we try something else. I'm all for that kind of experimentation.
Okay.
And there is something about closing streets in the right way to allow for block parties and
that's different.
Safe access.
For sure.
Yeah. So the important thing is to get that balance right. We have to keep the city moving, but we also have to make it livable for people that live there.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a fair answer.
That's a really good answer.
All right, there we go. Okay, on to the next.
That sounds like a point to me, guys.
That sounds it's my turn.
Is it your turn? Here,
give me that. That's a definite point. Actually, I think that was I think it was your best answer. Okay. This one's actually from Dr. Sylvain Charlebois.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there are urban food deserts currently right now in HRM. How can the city improve and increase food retail options for Halifax?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Strategy Up. Strategy Up is a business consulting firm led by Mark Zerka, who has over 20 years' experience in building commercial strategies that will up your game, organize your teams, increase your productivity, and grow your business.
Whether you're a construction company looking to grow your revenue or a busy restaurant owner just trying to keep the doors open, Strategy Up can help. Strategy Up's boutique-style consultations will help you improve business process across nearly any industry.
Being a successful entrepreneur does not mean you have to be an expert in everything. Strategy Up specializes in building a relationship with you. Once pain points in the business are realized, Strategy Up will introduce process and technology that will power up your game to the next level.
A successful business requires investment. Your next step towards growth starts now. Email info@mystrategyup.com for a free business discovery call. Up your game with Strategy Up.
Yeah, this is a rich topic area. I was involved in helping to find a new home for the Common Roots Urban Farm when it had to leave the hospital site and go to Buy Park. And we searched everywhere with the Urban Farm management at the time. Jamie Melrose, she's fantastic. She now runs a beautiful flower shop in the North End. And we had a lot of doors closed in our face and finally landed on the Buy High site. And it's actually turned out to be super great. So I was at the Fairview Farmers Market about 4 days ago, and I bought 3 bags of lettuce that had all been grown at Buy High Park, like in the middle of those highway loops, you know?
Yeah.
So that's amazing. That's local food security, right? So for sure we need to be figuring out more solutions like how to, like Hope Blooms and
I love Hope Blooms.
Isn't it amazing?
I absolutely love it.
They've done so well.
Yep.
In fact, I'm now drinking their mushroom-infused coffee in the morning.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
It takes that jittery edge off. I highly recommend it. It's super good.
You don't see any rainbows or anything. It's just regular mushrooms.
Just regular, just regular mushrooms.
Cool.
I mean, maybe I didn't drink enough of it. I don't know.
All right, cool. Okay, we might get 2 more in. We'll see how quick you can go here. We got a few minutes left. Listener Mike Durling recently got back from a trip in Calgary, Alberta, and he was astounded by how clean the city was compared to Halifax. He feels that there's litter and trash everywhere he looks. What could be done about this to reduce pollution and keep our streets clean?
What a great question. So, the first impression that people get of a place is the lasting one, right? And we're in the business right now in HRM of trying to attract as many visitors, tourism as we can, as many people making locational, people want to be in Halifax. They've discovered us, right? We want to draw companies, we want to draw employees and be attractive to all those people. And when people come into the downtown and or into any of the communities and all across HRM and see like that, if there is a lack of care, which isn't true everywhere, but you do see it in some places, right? Then that's a signal to them, like, oh, do they care for this place? Would they care for me if I moved here? Or visited here. I give really big credit to the Downtown Halifax Business Commission. They've got that team in the red golf shirts that clean up constantly.
Oh, yes. I've seen them,
but not every location has the means to hire those students to do that. So I think the city has a role there for sure.
And in more rural areas, part of HRM as well. Like, I see some things dumped sometimes in more rural communities. I just can't believe I see on the street.
Well, I was visiting Muscataba Harbor a few days ago and talking to some folks, and they have a beautiful main street there, right? But no one, the municipality's not picking up after it. So they're actually volunteers that are going out and picking up the garbage, even emptying the bags out of the municipal trash receptacles. So I just the way I'll close on this question is. Right now, there's frustration with the council because they raised the tax rate last year in the midst of an affordability crisis.
Yes.
To spend money on things like support for the encampments, which is not the right solution for the homeless, not a dignified solution for them, while basic services are going unmet. Filling the potholes.
I've noticed a difference this year in my own home, on my own property, right outside of it. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So we need to refocus the council and the city on the core services that they should be doing.
Excellent answer. You will get the point for that, 100%. Okay, that puts us right at 15 minutes, Andy. So we do have to cheers you, my friend.
All right.
Thank you so much.
It's really good to be
Yeah,
with you.
this is awesome.
Thank you for taking the time.
And thank you, and we hope to talk to you again.
I would look forward
Welcome
to
back
that.
anytime.
Maybe I'll have you at City Hall if all goes well, and we'll do this.
Sounds good.
We will take you up on that.
Okay, cheers.
All right.
Guys.
Cheers. Cheers. Welcome to the Afternoon Pint. Waye Mason.
Great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here. So I understand you are also running for mayor.
Yes, I am.
Amazing. Waye, I would love. You're from Dartmouth, my neck of the woods, right? Which is a great thing. Please tell me a little bit more about yourself.
So, like you say, I grew up in Dartmouth. My dad was in the Navy, though, so we moved in and out, which has been really good when you're running for office, especially in Dartmouth. People like to know that you're very local. You know, so we had 5 different houses in Dartmouth that they bought and sold as we got posted to Toronto and Ottawa, and Norfolk, and London, England. So almost any part of Dartmouth, they can be like, "Why would I vote for you? You live in the South End." I'm like, "I lived over there. I went to Creighton Park School. I went to Ellenvale."
Right.
And as you know, being from Dartmouth, that works. That's great, right? And but that history, I came back here to go to university. at Dow, and a long time ago, a couple decades ago, and that history is useful now as a politician in a municipality. I've lived in other cities, and I see what that looks like. I chose to come back. I always called Dartmouth home, Halifax sometimes if they didn't know where Dartmouth was, depending on how far away we were. And it's just that experience of living in other cities informs things that I would like to see and things I don't want to see here in HRM.
Okay.
And then like how I got into politics is actually not how people would expect.
Sure. How'd you get into politics?
I was always active in my community, but they tried to close my kids' school in 2006.
Okay.
So you may remember when the school board got fired by the minister and they put Howard Windsor in there. So I was the leader of the group that was fighting to keep them from closing Le Marchant.
Interesting.
And while they largely got themselves fired because of the racism around Doug Sparks, the African Nova Scotian member, we definitely goosed that along. Like we were right in there.
Good.
And I worked for about 3 years with that community group. And in 2008, people were saying, you should run against Sue. And I was like, no, we haven't saved the school yet.
Right.
Fast forward to 2012, we'd saved the school. We had a promise to build a new school. School was promised when my son was in first grade. It was built when he was in third year university and opened. So that's like, that's
Still-
the scale of
still a
things.
great
but
accomplishment.
The school is there and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's weird that it has a portable already, but still, brand new school. And then in 2012, I ran against Sue Utek because you may remember, I do a lot of lectures, guest lectures at...
Sue Utek, who's been on our show.
Yeah, Sue was on the show.
Sue
actually.
Utek was the council for district for before we went from 23 councillors down to 16. And, there was a lot of concerns about the direction of the municipality at the time. You may remember we had the concert scandal.
Yes.
In 2011, the population actually went down. There was a vibe like all of our kids are going to grow up in Fort McMurray or move to Fort McMurray for a job. The center of business was moving to Moncton in New Brunswick. And so I was really worried about the city at the time. And so that motivated a lot of people. Steve Craig, we're in Sackville right now. That's why he ran at the time. That's why Mike Savage ran. And I think we turned it around. Like that was our main focus.
Okay, and I forgot to get to the beer. So every flight we introduce the beer. So this one is our 7-day IPA at Great Roads Brewing. What do you think?
Well, so it's funny. This is the third time I've been to Great Roads in the last 8 weeks.
Yeah, there you go.
I met the owner here right near the start of the campaign, or I guess it would have been 5 months ago.
Okay.
And then I met with my campaign manager here, who's from Sackville, the other day. And what a great! The beer here is excellent.
Awesome.
Yes.
A wonderful IPA. And I think this place is fantastic. The nachos here are worth the trip.
Super.
Yeah.
And so last question, we got about a minute here before we get into the bucket of democracy. First 100 days as mayor, what do you think you would like to do?
Well, I think the big thing that needs to happen is before you're even sworn in is you need to meet with all the new councillors and find out what they promised and look at what your platform was. And my plan that's different from what has happened in these last 3 elections or ever in Halifax is to come forward on the first council day on November 12th with a plan for what needs to happen and when, and give clear direction with timelines to staff. This is not my idea. Cecil Clark did this in 2012 in CBRM, but I think what's really important, what didn't happen last election when we had 8 new councillors, has to happen this time because we're probably going to have 8 new councillors again.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
And some of the councillors, even now 4 years ago, they haven't been able to see an impact in what's happening in HRM. So I think the mayor's job is to manage that, help those councillors be successful, bring it all together, and have a plan and be clear to staff about what you want.
Yeah.
You don't want to see we've had a number of councillors this round bringing in stuff in the last 6 months, just hoping to squeak it in before the election, which
Right.
doesn't happen.
Right.
So that's the plan, is to very deliberately have an action plan to make sure everybody's at the table.
Love it. Okay, thank you, Wayne. And Matt, we're ready to go. Bucket of democracy.
All right,
Let's
I get
pull
to
the
go
first question.
All right, Way, let's see what you got here. I'll
Way.
Way. I'm sorry, Way. And I think I
before
told you
you
this.
read that,
Yeah.
I have an aunt-in-law who's been calling me Wade for 30 years.
Oh, dear.
And when I say to her, oh come on, Virginia, it's Wade. She goes, I know Wade.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Matt
so it's
knows
fine.
I'm the butcher of all names and
fine.
all
names,
places.
and places and
I'm
words.
just talking to Matt now.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
All right.
Matt's taking over from here.
You know what? Okay, this is actually from Great Roads.
Okay.
So Great Roads Brewing hopes to see a wider variety of local breweries represented or considered in cities, events, and dealings. How can we open the gates to promote a wider variety of options for beer and other markets in the city?
So that's not something I've ever thought about in the context of being a counselor. But when I ran the Halifax Pop Explosion, which sadly went out of business during COVID, but was a big music festival here for 25 years, sometimes we had Molson as a sponsor, but one year we had, and this was at the beginning of craft brewing, Propeller and Garrison, right? And then after I left, they had a partnership with a whole bunch of different local brewers. So, I think it can be done. The capacity of large brewers to give big chunks of money often outstrips the ability of smaller brewers. But I think if you had an alliance or a group of people and you actively supported them in doing that, a lot of events could be supported by them. I mean, it's just a matter of making sure that those events, those small community events, small and large community events, aren't going to struggle to do the good thing that we want, which is to have awesome beer from local breweries.
Yeah.
Good answer.
That's a good answer.
Give him a point?
Oh, definitely. That's a point.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's a point.
I'm winning now.
All right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm winning the bucket of democracy.
Oh, gosh. Okay, we're going to go do a different one there. It was Great Roads again. We had two Great Roads questions, and by fluke we pulled
If this
the
is
boat.
also Great Roads?
No.
Then it's meant to be.
This one is from astronomer John Reed, who's been a guest on our show.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excessive artificial light emitted by bright streetlights, industrial and residential lighting systems have a detrimental effect on both the mind and body. As the urbanization expands outward along areas such as Prospect Road, what are your plans to mitigate the harmful effects of light pollution and light trespass?
So this is a great question, and it's actually something I know about a fair bit about because a friend of mine, Paul, was really involved with the Royal Astronomy Society that maintain or use the telescope at St. Mary's in Loyola.
Cool.
And I met with those folks when we were putting in the LED lights, because the LED street lights that we updated to about 10 years ago are full cutoff dark sky design, so we don't have the pollution from those anymore as much. They're still not necessarily exactly where the astronomers want them to be, and improvements can always happen. But that was much better than the old orange high-pressure sodiums. We're missing it is we don't have rules around what lights have to look like on buildings and on parking lots and on private roads, or on provincial roads. So what we could do, and it's funny because lights on buildings are becoming a big deal. Like, I don't really care if there's lights and a big sign on a building downtown. Right. Or we're starting to see lights and big signs on a building on Sackville Drive or whatever. And I'm not sure that's necessarily what the community wants. We need to have a discussion about that as well. But I think, we could impose standards to have those dark sky rules. And the other thing that's really cool about the lights that we have, most of our lights we got from LED Roadway Lighting, which is a company here in Nova Scotia. And they actually can be remote controlled, right? They're like a Wi-Fi mesh network. Okay. So there's an interesting thing you can do where you could actually make them go dimmer at 1 o'clock in the morning in a suburban street. They burn less power. They're not as needed. So there are options there. It's also interesting because we had this happen with one incident downtown where the police actually can control it and make it 20% brighter if they need those. If they need the street lit up like an operating room, right? That's cool. So there's a potential for some flexibility there. I haven't heard from them in about 5 years, so it's not something that's been top of the list, but I would love to talk to him about that.
Interesting. Point awarded. That was a good answer.
That's a great answer.
I feel like I'm cheating. Like, I'm the biggest nerd on council after Sam Austin. Tell him I said that.
All right, my turn, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, this is one that we had to hand right in there because it was sent like last minute. How do you see short-term rentals like Airbnbs, etc., playing a future role in Halifax?
I think what we did, so we actually passed regulation to ban short-term rentals in residential zones. And that was hard because some people had invested, like not large institutional property owners, but some small, like I have 1 or 2 units people had, the only way they could afford that house was to have a short-term rental or whatever. Right. So that was difficult. But we know that there were hundreds, if not thousands of units that should have been available for people young and old to rent that have been turned into SDRs and you make way more money. And the other problem with SDRs, other than keeping them out of the rental market, is that higher amount of revenue being generated supports higher home sale costs, right? Like if a house can generate $7,000 a month and the mortgage on that is going to be that big, right? $7,000 a month big. Right. So, I think we did the right thing there. What the real issue right now is that we brought that in and it's been very slow to start to weed out the people who are still doing it or maybe don't know that they're not supposed to be doing it. But some recent changes now, the province changed the law and requires Airbnb and Vrbo and all those guys have to collect the marketing levy, which means that everybody has to have a registered number with the province and the city, which means that we know who they are and we can now look and see whether they're in an allowed zone.
Okay.
The whole, which I hear from, there's the citizens group that started in the North End about short-term rentals, is we still allow STRs in commercial zones.
Right.
And some people are uncomfortable with that. But in a commercial zone, if you're allowed to build a hotel, like, just to name names, like the Dillon building where Night Magic Fashions used to be on Sackville Street, most of what's in there is a short-term rental. The guy who owns it is short-term renting it. Right. But if we said, you can't short-term rental, he could turn it into a hotel right like that.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. I don't see a way to reduce it in commercial and mixed-use zones.
Yeah.
But I know there's a concern about that. So you're always kind of looking to see if anyone's cracked that code.
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
Good
That's
answer.
good.
Okay.
All right.
Moving on.
Your
My
turn.
turn?
It's your turn now.
But no point. Come on, guys.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It's point. Yeah.
Half point or full?
It would have
Okay,
been a full
full
point if I had been rude about it.
He just lost half a point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go.
I'm putting myself in the penalty box. It's fine.
Okay, wait. Listener Pam Copeland, she feels that it takes forever to get anywhere in HRM right now. You might felt that getting here today. I don't know which route you came, but
The highway was backed up.
yeah. What are your ideas to improve infrastructure, in particular traffic bottlenecks in areas such of HRM as Hammonds Plains, Nova Scotia?
Yeah, so...
And I'll throw in Quimple there, too.
Sure. Quinpool too. Yeah.
little self-centered action there. I need that fixed, Mason. No, so the fair. The the number one thing in my platform that I'm committing to is a traffic operations center, which is when you ever watch a movie and there's a room with a bunch of people and all these cameras, and you can see where the traffic's backing up, and they zoom in, and then they can change the lights, the signals.
Yes.
So the example of the worst I've ever seen traffic is the province had Bell Road closed in front of the hospital. We were doing the lights. Atrium was doing the lights at Jubilee Oxford, and Barrington is closed. So there's only 7 ways north-south of Quinpool, Coburg. 3 of them were closed at the same time. So it was completely bonkers. 3 hours backed up, and people were losing their minds. If we had a traffic operations center, you could have said, the Roby north-south light at the Willow Tree, we're going to let that go for twice the length and clear twice as many cars all the way up, right? You could have redone the entire thing. So I think that's our number one thing, is to use those roads more efficiently. We need to identify where those bottlenecks are for sure.
100%.
It's hard to fix those things as quickly as people want because there are a lot. The city, especially in the core, is very old and growing very quickly. I think another piece is that we need to be careful about where we grow, right? There's a lot of pressure right now to add thousands of homes farther out the Hammonds Plains Road in the Pockwalk area and up behind Westwood Hills. I don't know how they get to work, right? We know that the highway and the Hammonds Plains Road is already... So there's places where it's easier to put housing than others.
Right.
Like, least favorite of mine is the end of Herring Cove Road. Slightly better is out in Exit 5. Awesome, I think, is Acoma on the other side of... there's a proposal for 300 acres on the other side of Cole Harbour. And so you've got Highway 7 and Cole Harbour Road and all the connections that would go down through Woodlawn. Like, I think that's good. And there's other places like that. So where we grow, we have to be smart about it. And that's hard to do. And then the final thing is, on top of all those things, right, we want the province to widen the road. They own a lot of Hammonds Plains Road. We can partner on that. But really, it's also about investing in transit. Both urban transit, Halifax Transit needs a big change.
It's pretty
And
bad.
It's bad. It should be 24-hour-a-day operation, so you can get to the hospital, do your shift in the morning. We need to have, the airport bus should go more than once an hour outside of rush hour. The corridor should be more frequent at peak. We need more articulated buses so we can have more capacity, and that will get more people. If it's more reliable and has a higher capacity, that will get people out of cars and make room for those that can't take transit.
Okay. Well, Waye, our time is up.
That's
Oh,
it?
wow.
Yeah,
That was
you
it?
you did amazing.
But I want to do another bucket at a... Okay, no,
Yeah, no, it was really nice meeting you. And
Thank
regardless
you.
of what happens,
Yeah.
we definitely welcome you back to come have
Yeah,
another
absolutely.
conversation with us.
Okay, so pinky
Soon
swear.
enough, yeah.
Okay, either way.
Yeah.
Either way.
Come,
You know,
do,
either
a, come do a
way.
longer
Yeah,
hang
either
with us,
way.
and we'll
I'll
chat
come
with you
back
again.
after win or lose. And
Yeah.
I love
I
that.
can guarantee it'll be a totally different interview, win or lose. But I'll come back.
I love it. That's
you know?
even better.
Anyway,
Honestly, yeah, I think it would actually be really interesting
Yeah.
because I would like to dedicate a much longer chat with you, like I said, win or lose, because
Right.
if your years on council and stuff like that, I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
100%.
That's
Nice
great.
meeting you, Wayne. Wayne,
Nice
take
Wayne.
care. Wayne.
nice meeting you too, bub.
Cheers.
See ya.
Cheers.
Everybody.
Whoa, there we go. Spilled it there. Welcome to the Afternoon Pint. I am Matt Conrad.
I'm Mike Tobin.
And what mayoral candidate do we have here?
Hey, I am Pam Lovelace, and this is a really nice, refreshing cider.
Hey, you went right into it. It's like you've been on the show before.
How do you like them apples?
How you like them apples?
I love those apples.
Yeah, this is a
great.
good. Yeah, it's a dry cider. Great Roads did a great job at their first attempt. I don't even think they really need to improve it. Personally, I'd drink this all day.
Well, here it is, almost a month left before the election, right?
Yeah.
Right.
September 17th. It's a hot day,
Yes,
and this is a nice, cool cider. So
that's a good point.
Very
Yeah.
refreshing,
Yeah,
very refreshing.
for sure.
So
Good.
Pam, let's get into this. Like, we have a couple things that we want to learn about you. First thing, kind of, what did you do before you got into politics? Because you've obviously been in politics.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Camilla Najat with Exit Realty Metro.
Camilla Najat is an experienced real estate agent who prides herself in finding the perfect home for her clients. Camilla can help you with a comparative market analysis to help determine the value of your home if you're planning on selling, or help you determine the going rate for the neighborhood you're moving into. She can also work with you at your pace.
You can reach Camilla by calling 902-880-8429 or email camilla@exitmetro.ca.
Also, you can find her on Facebook at Camilla Najat, Exit Realty Metro.
So I've worked with all orders of government, and what I did before politics was the same thing that I did in politics, which is to work hard for my community, to work hard for my family, and obviously make change. I'm a change maker. So I reject status quo every chance I get. I've done communications as a project manager. I've been a television producer. I've worked, actually started farmers markets. I have 4 farmers markets running, including
now?
one here in Sackville.
Oh,
no, it was
cool.
about 10 years ago.
Okay.
And I've been able to do all kinds of different things, including building a veterans monument with an amazing group of volunteers in Hammonds Plains. Actually received a commemoration from the Minister of Veterans Affairs for that. So I have been one of those people that that is called to service, and when there's a project, there's Pam. And
Awesome.
she's helping, she's leading, working at whatever it is that needs to be done, whether it's helping children and youth, homeless individuals, helping find, access to grants for cultural organizations. I actually used to manage a 22-piece orchestra.
Oh,
If you
okay.
can believe that.
There you go. Wow.
So it's a long list of stuff. And
Very cool.
I started working when I was 13 years old. So if you know anything about the Old Orchard Inn,
Yeah.
and their lobster suppers.
Yeah.
Right on.
That's where I started.
Very cool.
At the age of 16.
So you're from the Valley.
Well, sort of. Okay. Grew up in Edmonton, ended up back here, was born here, first generation Canadian of German descent. So I'm a German Canadian citizen.
Okay, cool.
Grew up speaking both languages. And
Willkommen.
Ausgezeichnet. Wirklich?
Post.
Du sprichst Deutsch.
Hey.
For context, I don't know what they're saying, but this is fun. Yeah.
Wunderschön. So, so I grew up speaking German, and then when I needed to learn French, je parle français maintenant. Je suis la liaison de francophone et acadien. For the municipality, I'm the representative for francophones and Acadian
Amazing.
community. So now I'm just really excited about my future because here I am. I'm on the ballot for mayor, but I've also had the opportunity to be deputy mayor, and I also teach local government at Dalhousie University, and I've taught communications at Mount St. Vincent University.
Cool.
But I'm one of the very few people that's running for mayor that doesn't have a grade 12 education. Yeah,
Wow, there you
because
go.
I left home and started working at the age of 16. I was working full time.
Wow.
And so that's how I found myself homeless in Montreal and here in Halifax. And then eventually got my Bachelor of Arts honors degree and my Master's education from Mount St. Vincent University. And here I am.
Remarkable story.
That's
So-
a crazy, great story.
Right?
And I definitely, win, lose, whatever, we want to definitely have you back on a full episode to talk more on that in great detail, for sure.
I'm happy to.
But your first 100 days in as mayor, what do you want to do?
Oh, First thing I'm going to do, the very first thing I'm going to do is sit down with cabinet ministers and the premier and build a better relationship and build trust between the province and the municipality. And then we will move forward with establishing park and rides in communities such as Elmsdale, Windsor, West Hants, ensure that Bridgewater, Chester have access to transit, because our biggest problem right now is the congestion. It's holding back our productivity as a municipality. It's one of the biggest time suckers for, and it's killing our quality of life. And in addition to that, people can't get to work on time. They can't pick up their kids from daycare. They can't get to their medical appointments or surgery appointments and so on. It's really killing our economy and our social wellness. So creating those park and rides is right off the bat going to remove some of that congestion from our highways and our streets. In addition to that, within the 100 days, so work with the premier, work with the neighboring municipalities, and the other thing I'm going to do is sit down with every single stakeholder that's engaged and the landowner within the harbour, and begin the project to build a harbour plan, because we've got Windsor Street Exchange, which needs to be rehabilitated.
Right.
We also have the McKay Bridge, which needs to be rehabilitated.
Okay.
And we've got international shipping lines that are choosing St. John Harbour over Halifax Harbour.
Okay.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
So now we're going to get to the bucket of
Right.
democracy.
I've already drawn a question there because I want everyone to get a fair amount of time to answer these questions
That's all right.
here. So the bucket of democracy. Question number 1. This is from a listener and friend of the show, Sean Rosvold. What are your short and long-term plans to deal with the unhoused?
Oh, thank you, Sean. That's a great question. So short term, what I've been working on is getting a lived advisory committee in place for Halifax Council. So that's been an incredible opportunity to actually communicate needs from people who are unhoused and living in encampments. And it's really changed how council and senior staff are actually responding to the needs and working collaboratively with the province to address housing, which is not just the only thing. So a lot of people say we've got a housing crisis. We actually have a healthcare crisis in the encampments. We've got people who are disabled, people who are at end of life and need end of life care and palliative care. We have people that are families and that are in need of housing. And we have workers who are working full time, but they can't afford. So I really believe that our biggest issue is the affordability crisis, and on top of course, housing. So the short term is to bring the partners together to make sure that we've got access to the services that people actually need. Mental health care, detox, great example. Detox is 4 days. That's not enough. When people are coming out of detox, they're going right back onto the street.
Yeah.
And that's not how you help a person.
And I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Long-term,
Just go back to the question. There will just we do have other questions with other themes. So just on the unhoused issue, short term, long term. What's your best idea there?
Right. So exactly. Back to the detox thing. The problem is that people aren't getting the services that they need. So working with Department of Health, working with our federal partners to ensure that we have the services that we need from a social and transitional housing, that community housing, and work to build the capacity within the community housing sector.
Okay.
Now, obviously, that's long term, but this fall we're going to hold a housing summit, and that housing summit will bring absolutely all the stakeholders together to identify solutions. We've got to stop just talking about the problems and actually work towards implementing creative solutions to fix this.
Okay. Good for the point?
Good for the point.
Good for the point. You got the point. There you go. Thank you so much. All right, Matt, your turn, buddy.
All right. And the points don't actually count. It's kind of
So I
like
was
whose
going
line
to
is it
say,
anyway?
I didn't know that there were points.
Yeah,
Whose line is it
we're not
anyway?
really. We're just making it
we're
up.
stealing,
We're having fun.
making this up as we go. Oh, George Hanna. So past guest George Hanna
Hey, George.
feels that most downtown bicycle lanes are not being utilized. He asked, do you think there are other strategies that we can use to make options better for all when we are heading downtown?
So I absolutely agree with you, George. And in fact, what I've suggested is that we need to decommission and transform Halifax Transit and create a capital region transportation commission. And partnering with the neighboring municipalities will be able to do that by investing in light rail, partnering with the province and the federal government to remove people from their single occupancy vehicles, but make it affordable to come in as well. And I want to touch on the bike lanes, because part of the issue here is that we've prioritized bike lanes downtown rather than actually focused on the mass transit for the mass population that actually needs it. Because we need that corridor from Truro down to HRM to be used for mass transit. So not only do we need the park and rides, we need the light rail. In addition to that, we have to think about, that active transit downtown. We also need it within our communities. So, community of Hubbards with the Hubbard Streetscape Project, for example, they want to have sidewalks so the kids can actually walk to school. But it's a provincial highway.
Right.
So again, what we need to do is sit down with our partners out the province and say, look, here's the priorities for this municipality, and we have to say that to the federal government as well, because they come to us with our money telling us what our priorities are.
Right.
And that's why we have bike lanes right now. I'm not opposed to bike lanes. I'm actually in favor of open streets, which is what Montreal has, and it's beautiful. It's working. It's actually increasing the number of people who are hanging out downtown and purchasing goods and going to restaurants and so on and so forth. Is there another question?
Oh, there's
Yeah.
lots of
Yeah.
questions.
We got
Okay.
lots. Okay, my turn?
Your turn.
So,
yeah.
so for folks that can't see this bucket of democracy is extremely impressive.
Oh, yes, thank you. My arts and craft, shout out to our arts and craft department.
Exactly.
Okay, so the next question. This is from here. Great Roads Brewing had a few questions.
Yay, great
Okay,
roads.
they feel that the business community in Lower Sackville is well worth checking out and experiencing. What could be done to promote smaller HRM communities outside the downtown core to help promote growth?
Well, thank you. Exactly what I've been talking about. The suburban and rural communities have been ignored since amalgamation. Halifax County had an opportunity way back when to support the development of these towns. At amalgamation, we lost the towns. We lost the villages. So people couldn't work and live and play and thrive in the same community. I'm focused on bringing that back. I think that people need to be able to have job creation opportunities, and for small businesses in particular, I am committed to removing the provincial area rate of education off the commercial property tax bill. And in addition to that, forcing the federal government to stop taking our carbon tax dollars from our property tax bills. So there's millions of dollars leaving here, HRM, and going to Ottawa every year. And in fact, what we need is to be investing that money because we are doing incredible work with climate change. And so we know that our small businesses here need people to get to work. That means transit, affordable and reliable transit, which you don't have when you've got congestion, because there's no guarantee that you're going to get to work on time or that the bus is going to show up.
Absolutely.
So we need reliable transit options.
Okay, ready for another one?
This is the firing line,
Looks like
guys.
you're ready.
The
Oh, yeah,
firing
this one you're doing great, though. This
All right.
is number 4.
This is an interesting one. So this is from Bill Delooney. He feels there's a lack of baseball fields and centers in HRM, especially in comparison to smaller communities like Moncton. I don't know if you've ever seen those in Moncton,
have.
but they're amazing.
I have.
The leagues that play in these fields help the downtown core because they spend money and draw a crowd. There are plans to have more. Are there plans to have more baseball fields in HRM for recreational areas?
I'm so glad that you raised this bill. So just to let you know, visually, I've got cider in one hand and an IPA in the other.
Yes.
So I'm
You're our
ready
first
to answer this
double-fister.
question. I'm first double fister. So here's the thing about baseball fields. Last year, the Canadian Women's World Championship came here. They were here over in Sackville and Upper Sackville, and the response was incredible. We want to be able to bring more large tournaments here.
Absolutely.
I live in Hammond Plains, so I'm just going to give a shout out to Hammond Plains A's, and I know that a lot of parents are trying to maintain those fields. They're out there cleaning them up, picking up garbage, mowing, and preparing the infield and the outfield. And the problem with that is that we haven't had a clear understanding from park staff as far as what is that rural and regional recreation opportunity. So they came forward with a staff report. They came forward with a plan for rural recreation. And at the end of the day, as I said in council, it's flat. It's
Right.
not enough. So, Bill, I agree with you. We need to do more. And in fact, that opportunity to create amateur sports leads to professional sports. And
Yep.
that's what we should be focused on.
Love it. Okay, we probably can get one more in. Oh, it's my turn.
your
I'm
turn.
sorry. Okay, here we go.
They're
It
actually
is-
fighting about who's going to
Yeah,
take the question.
Yeah,
here.
we're trying to take turns. We just forget the turns.
Yeah.
Another one from Sean Roswell. The quality of construction with some of the newer buildings in HRM is diminished. What would you do as mayor to ensure that the new construction projects are being built with a high standard of quality?
I'm so glad you asked that question, Sean. And I think you should get an award for being a frequent
question asker.
Question asker. Yes. So here's the thing about we're trying to build more faster, right? And also we've got this new building code that's supposed to be implemented. We're waiting for the province to implement that. At the same time, we have less than, well, actually about 3,000 construction workers that we need right now. And when it comes to the quality of projects, because we're in a housing crisis, an affordability crisis, we're trying to build as cheap as possible and as quick as possible. So what I'm saying to you right now is think of a bell curve, right? So we're at the top, we're in desperate need for, actually I guess at the bottom, we're in desperate need for changes, and at the same time we need to be able to create a faster process to build by removing the bureaucracy and the red tape. I talk a lot about removing the red tape, and that means streamlining all the processes, using the digital mechanisms and AI technology to actually make it easier for the builder to say, oh, geez, I just saved $50,000, right? And this is part of the process. Part of the problem with the process is they're spending money on the bureaucracy rather than actually putting money into the nice windows or to the nice designs and so on and so forth. So it's about reprioritizing our communities.
Well, perfect. That's 15 minutes. Pam, thank you so much. It was really nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Cheers
Best
to
of
you.
luck to you.
Cheers to
Best
you
of luck.
guys.
And regardless what happens, we would love to have another chat
definitely
with you.
would love
You
to sit
guys
down.
drank a lot faster than I did.
Yeah, we do that.
We've done a lot of these episodes. So yeah.
Great to see you. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Okay. Cheers.
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 Welcome.
Welcome to the afternoon pint.
Welcome to the afternoon pint. I forgot where I was at there for a second. Zoran Jokic, another candidate that we have here for the upcoming election. How are you today?
You know what, guys? Every time in your company and around the beer, I'm good.
Okay.
There you go.
Well,
And
that's a
speaking
great
of the
answer.
beer, you chose our beer, and
Yep.
we are getting funky. This is Funktown.
Funktown, and should be the Funktown.
Perfect.
right.
It's
Yeah.
a nice tasting beer. It is indeed.
That's a good. Yeah, it's a good pale ale.
So Matt knew a little bit about you. I want to learn a little bit more about you. So I'd love to know just a little bit of your backstory.
I arrived in Canada back in '96, and I've been in Halifax, living in Halifax, or actually Fall River, I would say last 28, 29 years.
Okay.
Originally, I came from Croatia, or former Yugoslavia. A lot of people know that better. A reason why I came here, of course, '90s, we had a rough time in the Balkans. It was the Balkan War, and I landed in Halifax, to be honest, not by my choice, but you know what? I don't have any regrets.
How many years ago was that?
So 29 years ago.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So I guess really, what made you motivated to get into politics, or what's some of the stuff you've done here in the last so many years?
So again, I kind of followed the lead of my grandfather. So he used to say to me, there are three best jobs in the world. Number one is a doctor. Number two is a teacher. And number three is a politician.
Wow.
So,
You don't hear that very often.
So of course, I questioned the last choice, and I said, like, Grandpa, how come? He said, all of them, they are serving public.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
And I was never a doctor, but I work in humanitarian aid in some very difficult parts of the world during the war conflict. And I deliver humanitarian aid or organize it for Somalia, Rwanda, Chechnya, Kosovo. So all those war-torn countries, and kind of, close to, the health aspects of the human being. I've been working as a instructor, teacher, educator, adult educator, whatever you want to call it, last 25 years. And so now it's time for me to be in politics. I'm not a career politician, but I want to be in politics.
Fair.
Okay.
So
Cool. I like it.
Your first 100 days in office, what would you plan to do when you become mayor of Halifax?
The first 100 days, the first thing actually, I am going to start negotiating anything that could bring better deals to people of HRM. So I recognize few things, but one thing that nobody really talks about is food supply. And I think, generally speaking, in Canada, but of course, we're going to concentrate on HRM, I think us as a Canadians, we started probably last 5 years paying 5-star prices, and we're receiving only 2-star services. So if somebody goes in a restaurant and gets it's a good steak house, and you go there and you pay 5-star price, and you get only 2-star service.
And by service, do you mean the food quality or the server quality?
I'm just talking about services in general, the public services that we need to receive. I'm just kind of trying to draw the line between two. So one of the things that always we complain about homelessness, and that's another thing. But in my opinion, homelessness has to be registered. We have to kind of find variety of the reason why people are homeless. Right now, actually, I know what are the 3 reasons. Number 1, actually, is mental health. Number 2, it's a choice, because people don't have any kind of, something to look forward to it. And the last one actually is, really people can't afford it.
Affordability and addiction. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, number 4.
But the mental health and addiction, they kind of come under the same umbrella. So but also I look at, we spend so much money on it, and we don't have any type of, I would say, data. And we need to understand why somebody's homeless. We cannot treat them the same way.
Okay.
And that's another thing that I would concentrate on. I would actually, in the first 100 days, I would organize Canadian homeless national team that will represent Canada on Homeless World Cup.
Fair enough.
In soccer.
Okay. All right. Well, now it's time to dive into our bucket of democracy. All right. Let's go on with the first question.
So here we go. Oh, this one's actually just from us.
It's from us. Afternoon pint question? Okay, we put in a few.
Cool. Can you provide specific examples of success in your past life experiences that can be seen from any area?
Well, I kind of always simplify things. So I, as an adult educator, I normally like to see people do better. And when I said better, the better, I don't want to quantify by a certain percentage, because, it's individual how better you want to be. But I think in my past life, I deliver probably over 5,000 sessions, and 90% of them, they're to small business of Nova Scotia. And every single time when I go back to that business, I know for the fact the employees, the management, they do at least 5% better without me being involved in the first place.
Okay. Ready for the next question?
Well, is that a point?
Yeah.
It's a point. We're doing.
Yeah, it's a point. We get points. Yeah. I kind of forget. We're kind of not really giving points, but sort of
we're giving points. It's kind of like whose line is it anyway?
Okay, here's a question. This is from George Hanna. What logistical improvements do you think could help the Halifax Regional Police in preventing urban crime such as stealing cars and violent attacks?
Well, again, the policing and the reasoning why that happens. Obviously, we have to look at the reason a little bit deeper. Preventing the crime, it's not going to be always the easiest thing. We can rely on technology. We can rely, on cameras, monitoring streets, the neighborhoods, and stuff like that. But I think we have to find a reason why somebody is stealing. And I think that's what we need to do first. Like, they're talking about Halifax being one of the number 1 by small theft in the stores and stuff like that. Why people doing it? I don't believe that anybody goes in just, for fun as a being teenager and loosey-goosey do it. But now, you have people that really need to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
So we have to kind of look at that way, too.
It's a really good answer.
Your turn.
You got a point. My turn to draw?
It's your turn to draw.
Did I just read the last one?
No, I did.
I just read the hell of... Halifax police question. We're
Oh
following
yeah,
up.
you're right.
That's
We're
okay.
falling
Oh
apart.
my
I'm
gosh,
terrible.
you're go- oh my
Yeah, there you
gosh.
go, buddy. Come
Generally,
on, Matt.
this is your thing. Oh, this is mine.
Okay.
Oh no, this is Matt. I didn't even know. I know this
is
question.
This has been a running theme question for.
So if you listen to our episode with Tim Houston
I could assume.
or Mike Savage,
I could
you would have
assume.
heard this question.
Well, your
Or-
plans for Halifax include building a bigger and better stadium in Halifax.
You know what? We have to model the stadium that actually has multi-purpose. The second, we can look at actually stadiums around Europe when you do have hotels, when you do have, apartments in a stadium, and also businesses in a stadium.
Well, that's good.
So it's a sponsorship type of thing. And you know what? I believe in any type of project and research that could come in Halifax and do something better for us here in HRM, bring it on.
Cool.
I'm giving him a 1.5 for that.
You like it?
Yeah, I like
All
that.
right, a point and a half.
1.5, because you know what? I like the idea because some people don't like taxpayer dollars only, but if you put hotels and other businesses, they can pay to build a stadium.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
There you go. Okay, cool. All right, on to your next question. What will your plan be to deal with fixed term leases
Oh,
and their associated loopholes?
yeah.
From Anonymous on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was just a question from Facebook. That's right.
You know, again, fixed term leases and stuff like that. I believe in the free market. I don't think so that freezing the leases are going to benefit anybody, because I've seen what happens. Normally, previous owner sells the building and comes somebody new one, they raise the rent, and people they have to go.
Yep.
So really, there's only one solution. Number one solution is overbuild.
Mm-hmm.
Do what Japan did, overbuild, and it will actually help us with two things. It will help us with homelessness, but also at the same time will help us with interest rates, of course, but also with inflation. Overbuild.
Okay. Next question.
Yeah.
Very good. Your go, buddy. He's
yeah.
George's.
Sure, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
it's fast.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
You're flying through these, by the way. All right.
Oh, this is Matt's question. He's
This
laughing.
is just a funny question.
Yeah.
This is so keep in mind that I'm from Halifax and he's from Dartmouth.
Oh.
So
That's my question.
Halifax or Dartmouth, which side of the bridge is better and why?
Dartmouth, because I have a beautiful view to Halifax.
Oh, good
all right.
answer. That was quick.
That's
wow.
yeah, that's a point.
Oh my
yeah.
God! People are going to think that was planted. Yeah, but that was a perfect answer. You get a point for that.
Yeah, you know what? No one could have answered that one better. Man. That's good.
That was the best answer you could give.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So this one here from our friends at Reddit.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, so we got a little. We got a
we
little
got
upset.
torn
We
up.
had Tim
We got a
Houston on the other
okay,
week, and
okay.
we didn't mean any harm.
That is a tough one. Every time I go to Reddit, it's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
We're a friendly show. We welcome everybody. But this is actually from a news story from journalist Jacob Moore at Acadia Broadcasting. Okay. So a Halifax librarian claimed that they witnessed 3 to 4 overdoses per week while at work. What would you do as mayor to better help folks struggling with addiction? And do you think we have good systems in place for these folks now? So it's kind of a 2-point question, but like...
Well, again, I'll go on a back reference to mental health. So again, we do have people here, and I'm actually friend with some of them in the mental health industry. And I think that right now, the private clinics are doing a good job, but our public mental health is not doing the job. I think where we're really having a struggle with the number of appointments the people normally go through the day.
Right.
So we are averaging, I think, in the mental health public sector, we're averaging 2.7 versus 6.8 in private sector. So I think our public sector needs to speed up.
Okay.
Okay. Wow, you are flying through these questions.
Yeah,
by
you
the way.
are. Yeah. All right. Next question. No, that was the one we already asked there. Okay, let's see. From our listener Rob Groom, how are we correlating recreational facilities and centers to meet the growing demand of our bustling population?
Well, that's very close to my heart. So anybody who knows me, I play diligently 2 sports, and actually I coach soccer at 3 different teams in 3 different categories. Also, I play pickleball. So it's a really tough when you have to get up at 5 o'clock and use some of the facility to play pickleball. And I'm not an early riser, so I normally get up around 7. So first 2 hours, you're really not worth it. So again, the facilities that we do have in place with the population we have, it's a part of infrastructure that's never been appropriately. What really bugs me the most is Ivanhoe Report first time came in 1982 and then was recessed in 2014, I think, was kind of put in a little bit different perspective. And the number one reason, at the time for Ivanhoe Report is we need more people. So we knew that for 40 some odd years. But we never been proactive. We always been reactive. And I think, that needs to change. So yes, open it up more, but you build other infrastructure, build the schools, build the houses, and then, of course, you have to build that too.
Right.
So I think that's what we fail. And I think one of the parts, if I ever become a mayor in the city, in the municipality, that's the first thing I would do. Build appropriately. Build the schools together with subdivisions. Build everything together. That's
Cool.
the only way.
All right. We can do one more, I think.
Yeah.
You know what? I got one question for him.
No. Stay on the get. It's sanitized.
right.
We gotta be fair to everybody. Okay. Oh my gosh, this one's from Facebook Artificial Intelligence.
Ooh.
Okay. Meta asked this question. Ooh. How would you best describe your leadership style?
You know what? I believe in levels of leadership. So the political leadership and the leadership in general, it's almost the same, but they have slight difference. So my leadership style is very democratic, but very focused. So if we need to achieve the goal, then everybody is part of that leadership.
Right.
And you know what? I believe in leadership, that it's not from the top. I believe that leadership is flat line of people, and only that way we can achieve better. So I'm not for any dictatorial, I'm not for any leadership that actually puts people behind. I'm very pragmatic, and I'm very laser focused on fixing the things.
Cheers to you, Zoran.
Cheers to that.
Thank you.
You did a fantastic job, and I will say, just for your own sake, so you know, you did answer the most questions tonight out of all of our candidates. So,
Wow,
yeah,
thank you,
quick
guys.
and very proficient.
Thank
Great
you.
job. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to The Afternoon Pint. We are an independent podcast and we need your support. Please take a moment to hit that like, follow, and share button. Email us if you have an idea or suggestion for the show. Please send your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for listening to The Afternoon Pint. We are an independent podcast and we need your support. Please take a moment to hit that like, follow, and share button. Email us if you have an idea or suggestion for the show. Please send your feedback. We'd love to hear from you.